Emma, this is about GW, but is it really possible to automate the scale of censorship? Do we have that kind of computing capability?
Of course we do. And it would be impossible to do this unless it was automated. There's too much information for human beings to handle. Let's take your specialty, military operation, as an example, shall we? The U.S. military began to aggressively adopt the digital model in both combat and daily operations at the turn of the century.
That's true. Battlefield networking, the revolution in military affairs, and of course, the VR training regimen. Information is the deciding factor in the outcome of conflicts. It's because of that reality that the military's invested trillions of dollars in high-tech weapons and equipment. There's no night or day in war or information.
Right, 24/7. There's nothing that we couldn't see through electronic eyes and ears.
And that's what gave us the capability to collect, analyze, and understand tactical data in real time?
No, just the opposite. What we ended up with was too huge a load. We knew literally everything, from the position of every platoon on both sides to the number of clips every infantryman had left. As a result, nobody could figure out what the big picture meant. Not even the most experienced and skilled general could, because we're flesh and blood.
Humans can't adapt to the information age. Is that it?
Basically. No human being can make an intelligent command decision in the information overload of digitized wars. So R&D into computerized systems to assist in the process was initiated. The Defense Department tested a large-scale AI-driven system for troop logistics during the Gulf War. Apparently, they got the results they were looking for.
And you're saying that worldwide information censorship can be performed the same way?
Yes, it's possible given GW's capabilities. Do you get it?
Raiden, I asked EE about the disk you have in your possession. Basically, it's a set of computer worm programs. Each worm is structured to mimic the data units that compose GW. As a result, GW's scan agents are unable to detect the program. In short, the program doesn't trigger GW's antibody production system. What's more, the program can penetrate the bit-brain barrier that surrounds GW. Once the worm program enters the neural net, it transforms the surrounding neurons. The transformed neurons become solid and can no longer function as neural nets. As time passes, the neurons transform and perish, stripping the overall system of its power to define and comprehend data. This in turn causes language disorder and memory loss, leading to the shutdown of functions as the system becomes unable to maintain itself. I did a quick inspection. Arsenal Gear's security system is similar to the antibiotic function of a living creature's immune system. Surveillance of the inner system is handled by periodic scans, using a number of agents with the capacity for detecting data that doesn't belong in the system. Once the agents detect any invading data, the information is passed on to an antibody production system. From there, a program referred to as an antibody agent is autonomously produced to neutralize or eliminate the invading data. Added to that, there's a solid barrier existing between GW's optic neural net, its physical and logical base, and the other general nets. Referred to as the bit-brain barrier, this wall is a filtering system for preventing the infiltration of foreign data. This security system makes it very difficult to attack the system from the outside. I'm afraid nothing can be done without sufficient preparation. Metal Gear Ray was originally designed by the Marines as a countermeasure against other Metal Gear variations. But the mass-produced model is only based on the Marines' design. It's been redesigned to guard Arsenal Gear. Now it protects another Metal Gear. I heard all this from Emma. It seems that the mass production model Metal Gear Rays have cooperative engagement capability, with GW as the primary control system. Several Rays can connect with Arsenal Gear and mutually exchange data. Within this unified domain, all Rays can cooperatively manage threats through notification, pursuit, and interception, all in a lifelike manner. All for one and one for all. There's no weak spot. When protected by a pack of Rays, Arsenal Gear can move without cruisers or destroyers as escorts. The engine system of Metal Gear Ray appears to be outfitted with artificial muscle tissue. The artificial muscle consists of actuators that resemble human muscle tissue. It's made of a macromolecular fiber that conducts electricity. This system is different from ordinary engines based on mechanical activators and oil pressure. It's capable of many different kinds of movement using a single kind of engine. In other words, It's capable of performing a complex series of motions smoothly and effortlessly. Ray's movements are both quick and precise. Be careful. Ray's armor is made of a state-of-the-art ceramic titanium alloy. A network of simple sensor arrays stretches around the body, including conductive nanotubes that connect the surface and the interior of the armor. When the condition of the armor changes, self-diagnostic systems located throughout the armor detect and respond to this change, like a network of autonomic reflex nerves. This acts as a damage control response system, performing functions such as shutting down a damaged section or rerouting signals through auxiliary circuits. At the same time, any holes and tears in the armor are repaired to some degree by a kind of nanopaste that's secreted automatically from valves near the damaged area. This nanopaste almost makes Ray seem like it's bleeding. You probably won't be able to pierce Ray's armor with the weapons you're carrying. You'll have to aim for the head, where the armor is relatively thin. Aim for the head using Stinger missiles.
Vamp mentioned a purified hydrogen bomb. Any idea what it is?
A purified hydrogen bomb is a nuclear weapon that doesn't use a nuclear explosion to trigger a nuclear fusion reaction. There are two theories for triggering a purified hydrogen bomb. Of the two, our nation focused its research efforts on the laser inertial compression theory. Theoretically, it's the same as laser nuclear fusion. By solidifying deuterium and tritium at an extremely low temperature to create fuel pellets and bombarding these pellets with a high-output laser, the surface of the pellets evaporate. This creates a reaction that results in the inward compression of the pellets. The center portion of a pellet reaches the necessary extreme temperature and pressure conditions for confining nuclear fusion, and thereby creating a fusion reaction. I understand that research in this area continued into the last century, but I'd heard they hit a wall when they couldn't come up with a miniature laser capable of the necessary ultra-high output. From what you tell me, I guess I'll have to assume they overcame that problem.
If they caused a nuclear explosion over Manhattan, there would be serious repercussions. Blast energy from a high-altitude nuclear detonation is released mostly as gamma rays. This would emit a strong electromagnetic pulse through a secondary reaction within the ambient atmosphere. The pulse itself would last for a mere 500 nanoseconds, but in terms of power emitted, it would instantaneously release 500 billion megawatts. This electromagnetic pulse would cause a high-voltage surge through antennas and cable, frying all circuits. Scalar waves from a nuclear explosion have a higher degree of penetration than normal electromagnetic waves. Civilian electromagnetic protection devices would be useless. The area affected would likely range over several thousand kilometers. All electronic devices within New York would probably be rendered completely useless.
If something like this happened,
Panic on a worldwide scale would be unavoidable.
The feasibility of using an EMP blast from a nuclear weapon as an attack has been researched for decades. The Starfish Project, carried out on Johnston Island in the South Pacific in 1962, is one example.
Wasn't that to study the effects of high-altitude nuclear detonation on radios and radars?
Ostensibly, yes. Electromagnetic weapon development had already begun prior to that, since the time of Project Argus.
Now they're trying to use it for real?
Aimed at the heart of our nation. We can't let them detonate the core. Hurry, Raiden.
Tengu soldiers wear a special kind of combat suit that was developed by DARPA. It seems to utilize some kind of exoskeletal technology. The suit encases the soldier in a layer of armor and is outfitted with actuators which utilize artificial muscle tissue to amplify the soldier's strength and increase his chances of survival. Using the human strength amplification provided by the artificial muscle, a soldier can move faster, travel farther, and carry heavier weapons than normal. In other words, he has superior scouting and combat abilities and can basically dominate the battlefield. Any soldiers you face who are wearing this special kind of suit will be able to move with superhuman agility. Make sure you're prepared. The power suit that Solidus is wearing is a state-of-the-art exoskeleton that makes use of artificial muscle tissue. It gives the person wearing it superhuman motor skill capabilities. It's the same technology used in Ray's engine system and the Tengu soldiers' combat suits. Your skull suit uses a little bit of it too. A number of sensors stretch between the surface and interior of the suit like a neural network. When these sensors detect an impact, the artificial muscle in the suit reacts instantaneously by automatically contracting and diffusing the damage. So you can't just chop him in half with your sword. Your suit uses the same technology. You could almost say that your suit, Solidus's suit, and Metal Gear Ray are like brothers.
Jack, I found data on the briefcase used to unlock the nuclear launch codes. It appears to be a fail-safe system using the President's DNA base order and input of his physiological data as its key. The lock is said to be impenetrable.
In other words, the President himself is the only one who can enter the password.
Right. On top of that, as Ames mentioned before, the password becomes invalid when the President's brainwaves, heartbeat, etc. are not within normal limits.
So the President entered that code by his own free will after all. But why would the U.S. President lend a hand to terrorists?
How should I don't have information like that.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't.
Also, it seems that the need to reconfirm the code after a set amount of time is true.
Meaning that the President is safe, right? How about the story of the black case also serving as the launch key to a new model of Metal Gear?
That wasn't in the records.
That workstation is hooked up to the greater military network. The speech in the holds is being relayed out through that machine. We'll be making use of it too. I managed to get in through an Army IC router in Ohio. All I had to do from there was use the Link 16 to remotely install a few drivers and an application onto that workstation. So your camera can talk to their computer now. Hey, even military networks use products based on commercial technology. Nothing too unfamiliar there. Besides, I cut myself a back door when I still had access. I had a lot of access privileges when we were developing Rex. Hey, are you listening?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Anyway, the program will compress, encrypt, and packetize the photo's image data. I used Baton for encryption, by the way. And the beauty of it is, the packets are disguised to look like the TDIL-J message format. Get it? It's the standard tactical digital information link message format, and the packets will be sent out cloaked by their own speech broadcast. Tell me that isn't brilliant. Want me to go over it again?
No. Once was enough.
The cipher's what it looks like. A flying surveillance saucer. It's an unmanned aerial vehicle used for ground and ocean surveillance, and it also assists in communication. It can take off and land vertically, and uses a ducted airstream from its rotors and the surrounding shroud to fly. The one you saw was the type used by the Army, if I recall. But I can't see the Army officially cooperating with a top-secret Marine Corps project.
No, which means that there's someone besides us and the Russians that are interested in the new Metal Gear prototype.
Ciphers can stay airborne for about 3 hours, so there should be an integrated mobile ground station controlling its flight pattern and output nearby. It's got to be on land. I'll bet you anything it's disguised as a regular truck or something, driving along Riverside. Let me check it out.
Good call.
This is the bridge, but it's not just a place where you steer the ship. In a modern tanker, navigational, engine control, communication, and all other major operational functions are consolidated in the bridge. The ship is autopiloted via a global positioning satellite system. This is a precision instrument we're talking about here, so it's probably best to leave it alone. When the photos are in, we'll put them online and blow this whole thing wide open on the web.
Don't you think that the authorities will just shut us down?
Probably, but it won't matter. There'll be mirror sites spawning within minutes after those images go up. We won't even have to ask. People will be grabbing the pictures. There's no way anyone can stop it. Information has a life of its own, and as long as it lasts, it'll keep existing, even if it has to change its form or location.
Life?
Yeah, the desire of people to learn, the demand for data.
That's called idle curiosity in my book.
Everyone's got some of that, and sometimes it can pave the way for truth. That's what I believe. Yeah? What is it?
Up to now, scientists have continued to be active participants in war. What's your opinion?
There's no doubt that war has been an ideal event that fuels the progress of science. But therein lies the trap. We scientists must establish some form of work ethic. It's a tragedy that both the government and the military act as sponsors to modern science.
What are you talking about? The atom and hydrogen bombs were born from laboratories owned and operated by universities and private enterprises. Los Alamos and the Lawrence Livermore labs were run by universities. There's nothing strange about that.
Weapons development and universities. This may come as a surprise, but science requires that information be exchanged freely.
You're referring to the will of Professor Oppenheimer, aren't you?
For me, science and weapons always existed at different levels. I never thought that my research results would bring about misfortune to others. That was until the Shadow Moses incident.
I have no regrets.
That's where you're wrong. We scientists know the dangers of a nuclear threat. It's up to us to protect the people. We can't allow it to be exploited by nations or their politics. Man and nuclear weapons cannot coexist. Mere mortals were never meant to handle nuclear fusion.
Science defines me. My government respects me. Can you tell me what's wrong with that? Can you?
Okay, that's enough.